Hey there, my savvy home buyers and sellers. This is Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru, and for today's video, we're going to go over the May 2023 Sarasota and Manatee County real estate market update. Whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, you're not going to want to miss this video. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Well, here we are at the end of April going into May, and the spring real estate market is now in full effect here in Sarasota and Manatee County. While we dealt with challenges in 2022, especially with inflation and a slowing housing market, 2023 has started off as a promising year for both home buyers and sellers. So on the selling side, prices haven't really declined from all the increases we saw over the last few years. However, as a buyer, you definitely have a lot more choice, both in the resale and new construction segments. So for this part of the video, I'm just going to explain in plain English what this means to you as a buyer or seller, and then we're going to actually get into the real estate stats, and finally I'm going to end off with my charts, which are a way to look at the trends so you can make an informed decision. So first off, prices are still up year over year compared to the same time last year in all segments, with the exception of single family homes in Manatee County, which actually decreased 6.3%. While at the same time, sales are down just slightly from the same time last year. However, when you look at sales from February to March of this year, they're up actually over 50%. So when we get to the actual charts, you'll see that now we're trending in the right direction, where at this time last year, we were actually trending down because inflation was starting to bite into the economy. When it comes to listings, there are a lot more listings on the market. However, last year and in 2021, there was a record shortage of listings. This is a good sign for buyers. You definitely have more choice. And for sellers, if your home is priced well, if it looks good, you're still going to get the action and get it sold for top dollar. Now, when it comes to average time to sell your home, which is sometimes referred to as average days on market, when you look at the statistics provided by the real estate board, it'll show a 300% increase. And when you look at that percentage increase, you're like, oh my gosh, this is not good news. However, if you remember in 2021 and 2022, there was a huge shortage of homes, and homes were literally selling the moment they were listed or within a few days. So now as a home seller here in Sarasota Manatee, depending on the property type, you're looking at anywhere from 20 to 40 days on average to sell a home that's properly priced. Still pretty good compared to historical standards. Which leads me to the final point I want to make in this segment, and that is 2020 to 2022 was a crazy time in real estate. Never before did we have so many people coming into this area, while at the same time there was a shortage of houses, the supply chains were slowed down, which caused a crazy time in history that we may never see happen again. However, the demand for real estate in Florida still remains strong, and that's why you're seeing a market that's coming into balanced territory while still maintaining the gains that we saw over the last few years, while on the same side, there's still a healthy amount of buyers in the market. Now I want to look at the stats to give you a better idea of what to expect as we move forward in the future. So let's just quickly go down to Sarasota and Manatee counties as a whole, looking at single family homes to give you an idea of what's occurring. So when we look at closed sales, they're almost equal compared to the same time last year, which is a really good sign. Now, when we go down, average price is up just slightly from the same time last year, and the amount of dollar volume being traded hands is roughly equal. Now we'll go down to medium time to contract, which is sometimes referred to as days on market, and it has increased substantially. So last year at this time, as per the chart, it was only 5 days, and now we're looking at 33 days, which by historical standards is still not that long to sell your home. And when we get down to pending sales, again, we're almost equal compared to the same time last year, while new listings have actually started to drop. Now, if you remember at this time last year, listings started to spike, whereas this time they're going up slowly, indicating that the spring season is just starting and people are getting into the action. Finally, inventory, while a little higher, isn't that much higher, which is reflected by the fact that now we have about 3 months supply versus less than a month at the same time last year. Now, I'll always reiterate that months of supply is a great indicator of what's going to happen with prices in the future. And in order to see price decreases, you need well over 6 months of supply, which will cause sellers to start getting into competition with each other. So right now at 3 months, we're in a balanced market, or even just a slight seller's market, again, depending on location, property type. So So this indicates that the market is still strong. Now, one thing I want to point out in this report is I love these little bar graphs, okay? Because it puts things in perspective over the last 4 years. So when we look at closed sales, you can see that 2020 and 2021, there was a bit of a bump. However, now that we're getting into March of 2023, you can see that they're going back up, indicating that the demand is still strong for this area of Florida. Next, when we go to median sales price, you can see that it's been raising over the past 4 years, and now it's kind of flatlined, which tells me the market is used to the prices that we now have, and we just have to monitor it to see what's going on in the future. Now, the last chart that I want to point out is inventory. And while inventory might look a lot more than, say, at this time in 2021, when you look at in historical standards, so even compared to 2019, I mean, inventory was way higher back in 2019. While yes, our inventory is going up, it's going up slower than people expected, which explains why prices are remaining strong in the market. Now, when we look at townhouses and condos in the area, they are down a little more, about 10% compared to the same time last year. However, the median sale price is still up, actually over 10% compared to the same time last year, and the dollar volume is trading just slightly less than what was happening at the same time last year. Now, in this chart, I also want to look at the sold to ask ratio, where last year, on average, condos and townhouses were selling over asking price. Now we're looking at about 96.6% per average. Now, you might be asking yourself, how are sale prices up, but the sold to ask ratio is actually lower? Well, that's pretty easy. Once the market started to slow down, sellers started to raise their prices. So they're listing for a higher price, expecting more negotiation in the process. But keep in mind, prices are still high, and this is an average of the area as a whole. So some homes are still selling over asking price, while you have other houses that might be stagnating on the market because maybe the sellers are unrealistic in their expectations. When we get to median time on contract, again, we're looking at a 300% increase. Last year, it was only 5 days for condos and townhouses. Now you're up to 20 days on average. So still not much in terms of historical standards. Now, when we look at pending sales, they're closer to each other, a little higher last year, but still healthy numbers, all things considered. Next, when we look at new listings, they're up about 11% compared to the same time last year, and the same with pending inventory. It's down about 10%. Now, when we get to active inventory and we're comparing year over year, this is where it makes it look maybe a little worse than it is because it's gone up 300%. But again, last year in 2021, we had a record low of inventory. When you look at this in a historical standpoint, we're actually still lower than where we were in a quote unquote normal balanced market. And finally, the months of supply is at 3.5, which is either slightly a seller's market or into the beginning of a balanced market. All right, let's look at the graphs for this. Now, sales dipped in the fall of last year for obvious reasons. Now they're coming up to in line with the average of what's gone on over the last 4 years. When we look at median sales price, again, it's holding steady, reflecting the fact that buyers in this market are getting used to the prices as they are. And finally, when we look at inventory, it's been slowly climbing since about February of the previous year. However, when we go back to 2019 and even into 2020, you can see that inventory is still much lower, indicating that we still have a lot more listings to see come on the market in order to get to the market we had 4 or 5 years ago. All right, so for the last part of this video, we're gonna go over the stats that I collect based off this data, showing it in a way that gives us an idea of what we might expect to happen in the future. Because as a buyer or an investor or even a seller, you need to look at the data in a particular way in order to make sense for you and your situation. So the first chart we're going to look at is single family closed sales. And the reason I do this is to give us an indication of where the market is trending. So if we follow the whole timeline from the beginning of 2020, you can see we had our spike all through 2021. And then about this time last year, you saw the drop in closed sales. And that reflects, again, the fact of what we went through in 2022. However, since the beginning of this year, closed sales are actually trending sharply up, telling us it's coming back to where it should be. Now, when we get to new listings versus pending sales, this is really the chart that I love because it gives us an idea of what to expect in 2 to 3 months' time. You got to remember, When a contract is agreed upon, normally the house doesn't change hands in a day. It's generally 60, 90 days. So if there's a lot of sales that happen now, they actually won't reflect in the stats as closed. So I like to look at pending sales versus new listings to give me an idea of what's happening in the future. And as you can see, over 2022, we had the big jump in listings, which reflected the fact that prices did soften a bit and the market slowed down. However, since the beginning of this year, new pending sales have been rising quite a bit, while new listings are starting to rise. So they're staying in tandem. It's not really a cause for concern because they're both trending in the right direction. When it comes to new listings, my guess is a lot of sellers did hold off in the fall of last year. And now that they feel that the market might be stabilizing a bit, again, they're going back on market in order to cash out and take advantage of the increases that they saw over the last 4 or 5 years. Now, when we get to condos, again, it follows the same trend. And you're seeing that closed sales are increasing. However, not quite as drastic as you saw with the single family segment. And finally, when we get to new listings versus pending sales, as we roll into this year, both pending sales and new listings are up. However, you're seeing a lot more new listings in the condo segment. This is a spot on the chart that I would keep an eye on for condos and townhouses in both areas. If the listings continue to rise and the sales kind of tail off, you may see downward pressure on prices. However, I think it's still too early to determine. We would have to watch over the next coming months and see if the more inventory continues to come on the market, while at the same time sales either flatline or slow down. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this quick update on the May 2023 Sarasota and Manatee County market update. The moral of the story for this month is as follows. The market is still strong. Yes, it might not be as crazy as it was in 2021 and 2022, but people are still buying, people are still selling, prices are still high. Whether you're a buyer or seller, I think it's a great time to make a move. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in Sarasota or Manatee County, you know what to do. Give us a call, send us a message, and we'll have you set up right away. I'm Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru. Let's get you moving.